Hello, so this is Gigi. I'm responsible for technical things at Applied AI and help build complex distributed solutions for some of our customers there. We guys are focused on AWS based native solutions. So we're talking about a problem or a set of problems that one of our customers faced where in their product or existing solutions they had to integrate with multiple ERPs, and every field developed solution with different versions of ERPs and different ERPs itself was difficult to maintain because everybody was developing in field the way they want. Very close-knit DB level integrations, non-API level integrations was making it difficult for upgrade, right? Upgradability was the problem, and that's why every time a new release or a new patch was released on their product, some or other things where needs to be tested, and then they didn't know what was done. The developer team, the engineering team did not know what was done. So the customer or the solution providing implementation team at the customer front were struggling in terms of post upgrade. Something was breaking, not breaking, or something was working, not working, sort of a thing, right? So that's where it came down that how can we build a hub or a gateway which acts as a single place of integration for one or more products that they have. They are into document management, so they have a platform for that. So how did we do it, right? It came down to coming up with a hub or an integration gateway which consists of 4 critical components or entities, if you want to call them, right? Flow, a filter, a transformer, and an adapter, right? A user or an administrator will go and create a new flow for the specific adapter's action. So if it is a Oracle NetSuite and if there is a create customer or a create vendor type of action that is defined, then the development team of the integration gateway or any other developer could very easily support that adapter and that specific action for various different versions. And from the UI, the administrator of the integration gateway will go and create a flow. If there are some filters to be applied for that flow, they can apply those. And the incoming data to the flow, the payload to the flow when the flow is triggered, can be in a format which is whatever is the left side application which is calling that flow or triggering that flow. And the transformer, when the flow is getting created or edited, the transformer will be allowing the administrator or the creator of the flow to transform the incoming payload to the required payload that is required for that specific action of that adapter. So in this case, let's say create customer, right? So the input payload, then the left hand side products don't have to worry about doing a close knit, a very tight integration. They don't have to know what are the fields and how do I map and all, right? They have to just make a call to the flow, and then this same flow can be called by multiple products on this side, and the transformer will be able to transform. If the input data is different, you can write a different transformer and a different flow can be created, but the code once released will be used by any of it, right? So now, because it is decoupled, because it is a gateway or a hub sort of a architecture, it becomes easy for these products to integrate with some of these ERPs that they are wanting to integrate, like Microsoft Dynamics or Oracle NetSuite or some of the more that are getting developed, right? So that's how it is. That's how the initial design thought process was. The key part is, the important part to understand, this is all a native cloud native or AWS native solution that is built using a lot of native services like S3s and lambdas and step functions and all. And that's make it easy and cost effective for the company to go and deploy it or run it as one or more solutions, depending on how are they using it. They have a SaaS solution, they have a dedicated solution for specific customers, so they are deploying it that way. But now, because it is exposed like that, it solves that problem very easily and quickly for them. Some of the services that were used when this was done are mentioned here, but at a high level, that's what it is. it's an integration gateway for a painless, for an easy to manage, for an easy to upgrade sort of problems that they were solved. I mean, there were problems in terms of upgradability, there were problems in terms of supportability to various versions of the endpoint ERPs. There's a problem of creating a new integration, right? I mean, as soon as there's a need of creating a new integration, then the whole release cycle of that product came in picture. So that problem was solved by creating a separate integration gateway or an hub sort of a solution, where once an adapter is developed, then anybody on the left side can very easily create a new flow, trigger a new flow, and then they are done, right? That's what it is. A quick look at how does it look like, the integration gateway. There are flows, and you can create flows or clone from an existing flow. I'm going to edit an existing flow for you to show. When I click on edit flow, there's an adapter that I have to select an adapter and the corresponding action for which I am creating this flow. So and I have to give a name to this. I already have it because I am editing. Applying a filter to a flow is optional. You can decide to let the flow process ahead or not process based on certain value or some of the other conditions in the incoming payload data primarily, and then comes the actual mapping or the transformation, right? The incoming data could be something which I want to map it to something for that specific action that I have selected for my adapter, right? If there are latest changes that you might have made onto the adapter, then I can go and get the latest metadata for that selected adapter. So I click it, it is going to get the latest metadata. Once it gets the latest metadata, and this is, let's say, my input could be this, my input could be something different. So I'm keeping a little different, right? And then it could be a nested like this, right? So from the input data, I am mapping the expected keys or expected data keys for the action that I am going to make, right? So there is a subsidiary ID that is expected. I'm saying that is to come from this subsidiary ID that is coming from my input. For the entity ID, I'm saying it is to be mapped to EID. For my company name, it is to be mapped with company name. It's a sample. I mean, it's a JSON map that I am building, and I can do an advanced mapping as well if I want to concatenate two fields or cut from some fields, some part of the values to be picked and all. I can do all of that in my advanced mapping. Once I do that, then I can generate the mapping, my transformation. So if you see, adapter was the first thing that I have picked up, action of that adapter, and then the filter, which is optional, and now I have created my transformation. Done my transformation, I can go and look at if there is any response mapping that I need to do. I'm not wanting to do it, so then with that it's done, I can test and I can publish, right? So that's how easy it is for me to go ahead and create a new flow, and once it is created, then it is a matter of using that flow. So once it is published, then this flow has a flow ID, and then based on that flow ID, the client of the integration gateway would be able to trigger this flow by sending the data, right? And that's how you will see the flow executions in any of those flows that I have created. If there are any execution success or failure, I will be able to see those. And if there are failures, then I could go and look at the logs if I want to figure out what has happened as an administrator of this, right? So if I want to look at the logs, I'll be able to see the logs and see if something is wrong there. Okay, thank you. I think it helps understand what is the integration gateway and how is it built. Again, if I want to quickly show you the details of it, it's a serverless app that is built. There is no infrastructure component that is a self-managed component. Serverless at times is getting confused with only function as a service, so Lambda in AWS case, but that's not the scenario. Even the understanding of serverless that possibly needs a better understanding is anything which is any service that you are used, but you don't have to manage that service, right? So in this case, I am using DB, which is DynamoDB. I don't have to manage the DB. I don't need a DBA in my team, in my DevOps team, in my infrastructure monitoring team to manage and monitor that, right? The storage service, I don't have to. Even the deployment of the UI and and the lambdas is happening, right, and they on the corresponding infrastructure, the UI is getting deployed on S3 and exposed via CloudFront. I don't have to manage any instance, so I don't have to manage any compute instance, and even the step functions which needs to do whatever processing it needs to in a flow, I don't have to manage it. So that's the peculiarity of this integration gateway development that we have done. Hope it helps you understand some of these details. If there are any questions, you can for sure drop us a mail and we can get into more discussions. Thank you.